Bienvenidos de nuevo a la sala número 3 de Madrid Platform, en lo que lamentablemente es el
Welcome
último bloque de la primera
to
jornada de hoy.
what unfortunately is the last section of today's event. Now we're going to be dealing with yet another technology that is turning everything upside down. Fintech. We will be looking at the impact of this emerging technology on our lives. We'll be seeing a number of examples of successful companies that will be giving TED Talks. And previously, Salvador Molina, president of Ecofin and of Capital Fintech in Madrid, will be giving an introduction. He will be then giving the floor to the 8 companies that will be giving presentations in sections of 10 minutes. I'll introduce everyone first. Luis Castrillo, CEO from Senior Leading. He'll be talking about the impact of the silver economy. Then Juan Antonio Costa, Country Manager for Spain and Portugal of Duck Creek Technologies. He'll be talking about a new standard in insurance. Javier Castrillo, Vice Chairman and CIO of Tantum. He will be sharing his vision on the super Chinese apps and the new mobile communities. Then Esteban Granero, CEO of Olosip, with the topic AI doping for the Fintech. Then we'll be listening to Blanca Jimenez Ana Vitarte. She's a partner of BIP Financial Services. She'll be talking about the impact of women in the Fintech economy. And Roberto Rubio, last not least, Director General of Optima Previsión, who'll be talking about the life of 100 years. Then we will have Manuel Zaera, Subdirector General and Chief Customer Officer of National Nederlanden, on the new wiki era, the ecosystem in banking and insurance. Maria Zarco, Board Member and Chief Operating Officer of Universe, the only fintech that you take with you when you travel. But first, let's listen to the info that Salvador is going to provide us with. Well, thank you so very much. Thank you for the invite. Thank you to the Madrid city and region for providing us with this forum cluster of Madrid Capital Fintech. Will be providing you with 8 success stories, disruptive success stories that have transformed our daily lives. We do have something in common in our leisure time and in our jobs. That's financial matters. We all use banking services, insurances, payment systems. So things that are happening to us already and that we have detected are things we want to showcase here in order to analyze them together and to start trying to understand what our life looks like and what changes we are going through. Madrid is a financial capital worldwide, and thus this projection through the Ecofin Forum and through the Municipality of Madrid is an important axis to showcase these open funding mechanisms for the better of our society. In Madrid, we say that every day a star is born in Madrid with a new startup that is created on a daily basis in order to encompass the new digital environment and era that is the transformation of our economy towards this present and future world. The Madrid ecosystem is very fragmented, very complex. It has accelerators, incubators, co-workings, training, entrepreneurship, projects with major agents. The big players are present: BBVA, CaixaBank, Santander, the big financial players and big insurance companies like Mutua Madrileña or Mafre, National, Nederlanden, and many others are present here. We have universities and business schools and additional ecosystems like HubLab, where things happen. So we do say that this is an encounter of the third kind. Formerly, these issues were fragmented. Each had his or her own way of looking at things and dealing with them. And fintech, from big tech to fintech, prop tech, insurtech, we had various stages. And at the end of the day, there was a convergence whereby all these members of the fintech technological ecosystem have enriched the value propositions through collaborations. Let's try and explain this with an example of the 300, a famous movie. The financial innovation, for me, is comparable to the arrows that are sent into the future. They end up either landing fruitlessly on the floor or miss the target, landing on a shield, for example. But at the end of the day, there are success stories, Spartan business success stories, and these arrows that we send through these open finance solutions are not numerous, but they are enough. We need to understand them, to participate, to buy into them, and be part of these reality-changing arrows. Madrid Capital, Fintech, and Cluster tries to do precisely that, creating a new ecosystem with players, with alliances that encompass the whole planet. We have ambassadors in Latin America, North America, in Europe and Asia too, and by means of collaboration with other clusters and other associations that surround us and that do share with us this vision and these values, because we want to go far. So we don't need to go alone, because we don't want to get there very quickly. So we would rather endure and collaborate with clusters like in San Francisco, LA, New York, Lisbon, Milan, Madrid, Tel Aviv. And that is precisely what we propose as an efficient ecosystem, and Interdigital or first-line universities in matters of technology like the Polytechnical University in Madrid. That is the ecosystem. This is the message. This is the context where we want to showcase 8 success stories that are very different in kind, but that do contribute in their own way to changing the life and economic situation of citizens in general. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to these transformers that are reshaping reality. First, let me ask Luis Castrillo, CEO of Seniors, leading a startup from Madrid that is intent of changing the silver economy, and through the silver economy improving what we do on a daily basis in business and in other fields of our daily lives. But I now leave the floor to our speaker. Please, go ahead. Thank you, Salvador. First, I would like to thank the cluster Madrid Capital Fintech for the invite, that we are able to share the seminar with you here in person and with all of you who are joining us virtually. And we'd also like to thank the municipality of Madrid and the Madrid platform, obviously. Now, let's talk about silver economy, but with a special focus, if you allow me, on silver economy as a new fintech territory. And I hope I'll be able to provide you with enough arguments to convince you. When we talk about silver economy, what are we dealing with? The European Union says it's products and services that are offered by companies, professionals, and public administration that target people that are aged 50 plus. Why 50 plus? Well, because of the graying hair, and that's why we talk about silver economy. In Spain, that's equivalent to about 19 million people. Over 200 million people in the European Union, with a projected contribution to the GDP in the European Union of over 32% by 2025. So we're really talking big numbers here. 50 plus. Well, I'd like, if you allow, to focus on 65 plus for various reasons. Because usually, if we talk about people aged 65 and more, we tend to think in terms of expenses or expenditure, and not, we don't see them as people who generate wealth. These plus 65 people do have an income of a yearly over 140 billion euros. It is upfront, it is a cost, because that's money that is invested in them, but then they do spend it. So in that sense, they are not only a cost, but they also generate wealth, 10% of the GDP. More data. Every year in foodstuffs, this group spends 40 billion euro. They consume 30% more than the average of people who are in employment. More importantly, in households where these elderly people are the most important providers of income, are 29%, and it equals 167 billion euros yearly. And they have 620 billion worth of own home equity, which is a major number. And I think all of this deserves our attention, because this is a group and a population that has to be reckoned with. But it's not only numbers. Let's look at the profile of these elderly citizens. They become more and more leaders in society. We have ever more senior entrepreneurs, so active seniors. Today's seniors can't be compared to elderly people a few decades ago. And more specifically, these people help their children and their grandchildren in various ways, caring for the grandchildren, but also in economic terms. Recently, there's been a study on this topic whereby about 4 million of people aged more than 65 do economically support their families. And this has led us to deploy our project, Silver Money, through our startup, Seniors Leading, precisely in order to be a sounding board and to showcase the contribution of these elderly citizens, and to have a larger outreach. We also want to include people who are 60 plus who still do work and have more income than people who are already pensioned off. So with Silver Economy, with our app, we allow citizens that are elder than 65 in order to help contribute to the income of the children and grandchildren through their purchases through Silver Money that trigger a discount that benefits children and grandchildren and means money in their accounts. And I'll be showing how this works. Silver Money is an app and a card. These are the two vehicles. The seniors organizations have asked us to provide for a physical card because they are not very knowledgeable in digital terms. So you can start with the card proper and then transition smoothly to the app. So it's a fintech intergenerational purchase app. 12 million over 60 and 26 million children and grandchildren over 18. These are the beneficiaries of the rebates that senior purchases generate each month. Here, an example. Here we have a senior citizen that can pay either through the app or with the card, and this triggers a discount that is accrued and accumulated throughout the month. At the end of the month, that money is a cashback that benefits either the son, the daughter, the grandchildren. It can be even apportioned out according to the wishes of the senior citizen. This way, everybody is part of the digital world, and we have the dashboard with the big data so that they can optimize, the companies can optimize their knowledge of their consumers, their elderly consumers. So children and grandchildren are not only beneficiaries, they can also become owners. They can also purchase through our system, have their own access to the app, their own card, and thus they will be able to directly cash back. But all of this thanks to the senior citizens who are the real protagonists of this story. You see this picture, the grandchild, the grandson is looking surprised, looking at the money generated on his account thanks to the purchases, either only of the granddad or also together. So imagine the millions of people we're talking about worldwide and the expansion potential we have here. But that will be later on. How have we started? We started with a PPP with the municipality in Madrid for the 47 municipal markets, where usually we have the community business that is closer to our senior citizens, but we can enlarge, expand this through the other generations. If you go to the market and pay via the app or with a card or through the platform Market 47, that is the online platform of Madrid markets. Now, in both channels, you can use Silver Money and generate discounts for the benefit of the children and grandchildren. As I talked about these millions of people that are over 60 years old, but we want to expand to the whole of Spain and to any economic activity. Any company that wants to participate in boosting the silver economy and helping families through their senior members are very welcome. You can participate here and also in other countries because we're planning an expansion also to the US. So think about the margin we have here, the potential of silver economy. In closing, less than a month ago in BBVA in the bank. We had an interview about open innovation, and they were really enthused about our product. Thoughtful seniors, the Fintech card, silver money. So that's that. If you're interested, you're more than welcome, and think that you can help the whole of society through this tool. Thank you. Thank you, Luis. I think that has been very interesting. We've learned a lot, and some of us are already warming up to the idea of this tool. Now we move on to Javier Castrillo, Vice President and CIO of Tantum, yet another startup from Madrid with a completely different vision. They have a long track record working in the Far East. They've seen the advent and evolution of something that most of us have only come to know very recently, these super apps that exist in that ecosystem, and that go hand in hand with large communities that imply synergies and transversality, purchases, operations, payments. So Fintech plays an important role here. It's not only about communicating, relating, but also traveling, working, paying. So without further ado, you have the floor. Well, thank you, Salvador. I would like to thank the cluster, Madrid platform, for having us. As you said, Salvador, we have 3/4 of our team in China. I myself have lived 16 years in China, and I lived and had first-hand experience of all these changes. Absolutely fascinating. Today, China is producing a majority of cars, has autonomous self-driving taxis, will be soon starting with taxi unmanned vehicles. And at the time, Alipay was a startup, and later on, when it entered the stock market, it had more volume and more echo than the big techs of the Western world together. So, WeChat, for example, when I got my first salary, I got it in a plastic bag with banknotes equivalent to 2 euros. Now we have 2 great apps that are the main vehicles for payments. We're talking about trillions of US dollars here of volume. Our mentality has changed profoundly in this model. Everything that has to do with digitalization and internet. When I arrived there, 7% of the population had to do with internet. Now we have billions of people that have access to internet, and everyone but 9 million use these 2 payment apps on a daily basis. The joke said that the US innovated, China reached the scale, and the EU regulated. Now things have changed. China is innovating now. Last year it filed more patents than the US, and it's filing 30% more patents in AI, cloud computing, fintech than the US, for example. Everything to do with quantum computing, for example. So they have leapfrogged us. 3 years in 5G, 5 years in payment, and they are copying Elsewhere, they are copying the Chinese apps. I don't want to showcase China, but just to put things in perspective, we only have an 11% of unicorns in Spain. Excuse me, in Europe. Big Mind goes to Google and others go to NVIDIA. So our unicorns are fading fast and they move elsewhere. So we need to move faster, become more agile, progress, and realize that, okay, this is Europe. We cannot emulate what the US have done or what China has done. In North America, we have very clear vertical lines: Facebook, Google, and then also Microsoft, Azure, LinkedIn, and KickUp. And there is this rumor that that they're going to buy Tinder so that Bill Gates can partner up with someone. That's a rumor, right? But the means of payment is completely apart from these big technological giants. Not so in China. Everything is interconnected, and payments are an essential part of the whole operation. And this is where the paradigm changes. The apps started through needs in e-commerce. PayPal wasn't present in China at the time, so they created the Alipay tool. And you have the C2C, client to client, or customer to customer level. Suddenly, they realized that everyone, also in the rural areas, could operate with a C2C platform to sell the produce. And obviously, this was a boost. A QR payment mode was created through Alipay so that it could be used in all shops everywhere. So they moved on to financial. Financial is granting customer credits of about 450 euros per user per year. You just calculate the numbers. We're talking China here. And this is not the US model, where you have the transition from the material inventory to the online field. Now it is the other way around. The US model is user-based, and income is generated through advertising or through sales commissions. Now we're talking payment, the fintech. As soon as a payment is triggered, these margins are generated for the big techs. Online or in person, never mind. And it's a completely different model because that incentivizes consumption. WeChat, for example, is yet another example. Started as a sharing social media, then you moved also to the shops with a new layer of social media like Facebook, comparable to the stories. And today, that's a system everyone uses to communicate in China. So at the end of the day, this has many uses. In May 2020, a year ago, after the pandemic in China, in order to help commerce and incentivize consumption, administration used these apps with discounts and with cashbacks. In China, you don't have 200 apps on your mobile. Everything is done through these ecosystems. In the morning, I order a cab through WeChat. I communicate with the taxi driver through WeChat. And if I buy a coffee, a coupon is generated also through WeChat. So it's what we call a useful digitalization.
To create these super apps,
So what you've seen in the previous slide has been extended to Korea with KakaPay and other countries in Latin America too, with something quite similar. Any app that can have payment, marketing, and social media is present there. So we realized that this, at the end of the day, would reach Europe. So we set up this payment processing system that could include anything after payment had been made, generation of a coupon or a cashback or whatever, anything that would incentivize consumption. And there was also this other leg, marketing, because here you don't consume as in the Western world. Everything starts with these mini apps within the super apps, whereby at the end of the day, a payment is made. So at the end, we're a Bizum of these exotic payments. If someone wants to pay from Alipay in Asia to a Spanish shop, they can do that. If a Spaniard wants to travel to China and pay in China, you can do that too. And then marketing. Everything that has to do with payments. Marketing and payment interconnected is unthinkable here. Not so in Asia, because they do have these platforms and they are intertwined and they work together. And we are trying to give this a European profile with these two legs that do perfectly work. So we have developed this platform that is completely open. It's a container where anyone can feed in a solution that can be, for example, a bank with a loan, or a farmer in Murcia that wants to sell either 2 or 200 tomatoes. But it's really it's focused on the perspective of the shop, of the commercial side, while the US model is centered on the user. So at the end of the day, you get the data and you reach the digitalization of everything. If you can't do that in Europe because you don't have the means, you can use these apps. This architecture makes things very easy, and it allows you to understand your business, understand what you can do with your business, and allows for the optimization of the prices, the products that work, the ones that don't. You can recommend combination, combining two functions. And what is important is that it helps recover, reactivate the economy, which is what we want at the end of the day. We do have our own European vision that is a platform where various companies come together, and we're open to other companies that can contribute. It's an open platform with a lot of social content, and that you need to understand as something very sustainable as a whole for the economy and also for the shops. Thank you.
Well, don't take everything away, please. Give me something back. So we've learned many things from seniors, and we've learned also from these new young people from the digital economy, the Chinese. And now we will learn from another ecosystem, the world of women and their incorporation in innovation, in technology, in the Fintech world, and in the world of companies and corporations. And we will hear from Ana Jiménez Arabitarte. She's a partner of the VIP Financial Services. And they've done a very important job in analyzing within the Commission in charge of assessing the impact of women in society. They've performed a great job, and she will talk about the great work they do in BIP Financial Services. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Salvador said, I'm not here to talk about a disruptive project in the fintech world. He asked us to come to talk about something that is transforming the way in which organizations are led, and that is the increasing presence of women in the economic and corporate world in general, and in the fintech world and in the financial world. As Salvador was saying, within the Madrid FinTech cluster from BIP Consulting, together with the foundation led by Carmen Garcia, we've carried out a study of the position of women in the world of finance. This study will be presented in a couple of weeks, but I can bring some news and some developments that can help us think about the way in which the fintech world can act as a catalyst for the financial world. It's not new for anyone here that the financial sector is facing one of the fastest transformations that it has ever lived. And to success in this regard, no company can ignore 50% of the talent. That if you ignore women, you're ignoring 50% of the talent. When we conducted this study, one of the conclusions that we drew from the responses that we obtained was that 50% of women still think that a woman faces much more difficulties to have decisive roles in a company. But in the fintech world, we see that 60%, but 60% of employees in the fintech world are women, and half of them are in leading positions and executive positions. Thus, we see that the fintech world can be a catalyst for the financial world. In the last few years, I've seen as a consultant in Europe and in Latin America how banking institutions have transformed to adapt to the digital world in the last few years through internal capabilities, and in the last few years through collaborative models where we've started using capabilities with new players through mergers, acquisitions, collaborations, and all of this has evolved. And this has allowed me to see in the last 20 years two key elements for success. The first one is the capacity of management to understand the business, its competitive position, the way in which the world was going to transform and adapt. And the second element was the capacity to lead teams in complex and diverse environments towards a new goal. What does this have to do with women? A lot. Because the fact that there are women in executive positions means that they are more prone to embracing change. That is something that is a consequence of the presence of women. One of the female executives that we interviewed said that from her perspective, women have an innate capacity to lead teams in environments that are uncertain, that are ever-changing, that fluctuate, and they have the ability to motivate them. It is true that this is very general. It's really we're all individuals, and we have individual features, but there are some characteristics that have been more strongly linked to the way in which women lead, such as empathy, teamwork, among others. And in the financial world, this is even more important. And now what we see is that financial institutions need to establish collaborative platform systems where they collaborate among each other and with other players. And the way in which women lead seems to open this change towards collaborative models. And following with this, another of the interviewees said that they also saw that the change in the way people now work, higher awareness and sustainability is probably the result of women being in leading position. And I think that the number of women leading fintechs can lead to change. And I think this change is essential and can be the catalyst. I was reading a book by Stephen Zweig. It's called Stellar Moments of Humanity, that the worst sound of a war is not the sound of a cannonball. We've heard, we can never say that the city is taken because this boosts demotivation. But fintechs can help the financial system to adopt this transformation more swiftly and can help to promote women to executive positions. When we asked in our study what were the reasons for women finding it more difficult to come to executive positions, the first answer was the culture and the vision of women in society, the culture of organizations. Almost 30% thought this was the predominant factor beyond the difficulties for personal life balance or maternity leaves. 29% said it's the culture and the vision. And the fintechs are in the best position to change this. We're seeing now financial institutions reach collaborative models or acquire fintechs as a way to transform their businesses, to acquire new technologies, to acquire them there more swiftly, transform their work models. Why not use this to change the way in which companies lead and undertake executive positions in financial institutions? Moreover, one of the conclusions that we drew from the study, and I don't want to talk a lot because you'll have access to the full study in 2 weeks, is that this change in the way now people work with more collaboration, more empathy within an organization, all of this is not just for hiring more women or keeping women happy. This is to have the best talent. Right now, the financial world needs the best possible talent. And we asked a question in our study, and it was, what do you demand from your job? And we asked this to men and women. And our own biases and prejudice made us thought when we were designing the study that the answers would be very different, that women would value work-life balance more than professional development. But what we found after using a large statistical sample is that women and men value the same principles, but we have a mistaken vision of what women see in men and men in women. 96% in women, 95% in men. They wanted to have achieve work-life balance. They wanted exciting projects. They wanted professional development and something that they liked. And that's where we realized that the fact of incorporating new types of leadership would help them to attract the best talent. Not just because they are talented, but because this will translate into better customer service. And right now, if a player in the financial service doesn't prioritize customer service, will be left out. And we need to provide, as I said, the best customer service. And this also means maximizing value for shareholders. To conclude, because we will provide all the details of the study, and I recommend reading it because it's quite interesting. Because it talks about why has it been so difficult for this positioning of women to be accelerated. I would like to conclude with 2 messages. The first one is that the fact of incorporated women, as we said before, is not just for the sake of doing so. When you analyze the answers from the participants, the female participants, they all said, it's been very hard for me to get here, but once I've gotten here, I've been able to share my vision of the world, and my company has given a qualitative leap, because if women didn't reach these positions, as I said before, we were missing half the opinion of humankind. So we need to incorporate women in executive boards, to have a company that provide better service and more and to be more profitable. Something that was also very common along the answers, and this is something that the 20 female executives that we interviewed said, is this cannot be a battle of the sexes, of men against women, because we're going to generate the same problem. This needs to be work by society so that we can all create this place in the financial world that are able to see the future, provide great customer service, and bring examples like the ones we're seeing today, examples that are transforming the sector and that will make the lives of people better. Thank you very much, Blanca. Thank you, Blanca, for her information, for her words, but also for giving us some hints on the report that they will present in a couple of weeks, and that you've been able to listen to here at Madrid platform. We've talked about seniors, we talked about examples of the generation of large consumption networks through the Chinese super apps, and also about innovation and creativity and fintech development through the development of diverse structures with incorporation of women. But now, let's ask ourselves about things that are quite concerning for us. We've talked about this 100-year society. Longevity everywhere, and Spain is the second country in this category. Society will be made up of citizens older than 100 years old, and they have needs that are not being properly served right now. So we will now listen to Roberto Rubio. He's the general manager at Optima Previsión. We will now ask him to come to the stage and tell us a little bit about the things they're designing in Optima for this generation of liquidity for this world with 100-year-old citizens. Do you need this? Thank you very much, Salvador. And thank you, Madrid Fintech and the Madrid City Hall for the seminar and for giving me the opportunity to explain our project. I would like to start with this phrase, a little bit in line with what, Salvador, what you said before. Longevity is a challenge, but also an opportunity. As you said, we now see that citizens live longer, and this translates into new challenges, this additional longevity that comes with it. But it is also clear that it's great news, because we will have more time with our families, with our friends, for leisure. But all this extra longevity needs to be funded accordingly, and that is where the challenge lies. We all know that if we have pensions and 25% of the population is collecting a pension, this is not sustainable in the long term. And with very low birth rates, the evident solution would be to reduce the amount of pensions. But we need to complement this somehow. These people who will live longer need to have proper financing. So there are many alternatives. The first one, of course, would be to work into an older age. Another option would be retire later, or to save more money throughout our active life. And there's another alternative. That is the one that is addressed by our project. And going back to what Luis Castrillo said in his presentation, in Spain there are 9.2 million people that are older than 65 years old. So 1 out of 5 is older than 65 years old. And soon enough, it will be 8.2%. And out of this 9.2%, there is an important figure, which is 89%. They're homeowners. What does this mean? This means that much of the savings have been invested into buying home. In other countries, it is not the case because people invest more money in pension funds. But here in Spain, it's different. People prefer buying properties. It's another way of saving money. And the key is, how much more have we saved with this trend that is present here in Spain? It's 630 billion. It looks like a lot, but to put things in context, everything that is being saved in pension funds is 118 billion. So it's 1/5 of the amount that has been saved by people when they buy homes there. So we need to find new alternatives. And okay, maybe we could sell the house, rent it, or buy a smaller house. But older people don't want to leave their homes. They don't want to leave their neighborhoods or the places they know or the people they know. In the end, there's a lot of attachment to their homes, and people don't want to leave. So when we look for alternatives to financing, not provided by the public fund, but public pension fund, is, well, let people live in their homes and maintaining the property while having liquidity. And this is a project that we are here to present, this alternative, which is now available. And now the most common alternative is the reverse mortgage. This is a product that is regulated, unlike many other countries where this is not the case. Spain has a pioneering role in this, and Spain particularly cares for this group of people. And this is a product that uses, say, the house of a senior, and in exchange for providing this home to a banking institution, the beneficiary will receive money. They don't have to pay any money, but when this person passes, the persons that will inherit the house will decide whether to sell the house and keep the difference, which is usually around 50%. So as I said, this is a product that is already available and is regulated by law, and is in the preamble of the law. This alternative is encouraged, and you can listen to people that are holding executive positions in the Bank of Spain, and they encourage using this for gaining liquidity. As Daniel Luis was saying, unblocking these savings opens the key to many other products of the senior economy. We're not talking just about basic services, sort of, say, food, healthcare, etc. We're talking about all kinds of services, leisure, travels, culture. What they do is improve the quality of life of this group of people. And these instruments help improve their quality of life, and they also add a breeze of fresh air for these people. People have savings that they cannot make use of, but now they can start to have this money at their disposal, and that increases their consumption, and thus it helps the general economy, if you want. This reverse mortgage already existed in Spain. In 2007, this law was passed, but then the real estate and financial crisis started the following year, and now we have the pandemic. So it's a product that has been fallen into oblivion, and we want to reactivate it. We want more institutions to participate in this market, to make more competitive products that involve less costs, that are more attractive and flexible for consumers. And there's also a lack of knowledge. We've seen in a study that 12% of population, or that only 12% of people older than 65% know that this product is available. So Optima Mayor is making a very important effort in terms of communication so that people who lack the knowledge of this product being at their disposal know that this product is there and that it's worth making an effort and participating in it. And lately we've all seen that the banking system has dehumanized itself. There's no human interaction. Everything is done quite poorly in the offices, in the branches. So we want to do this through friendly banking institutions. We want to do this transparently. We want things to be very clear so that clients know what they are hiring, what the effect will be of these products on their lives whenever they decide to hire them. I would also like to stress 4 elements that I think are essential in our project when we develop this platform to offer the reverse mortgage product and similar products. Historically speaking, these products in Spain have been marketed in large cities. In the end, they left seniors who lived in smaller cities, and this is where there is more aged population. So we want to launch a product that reaches as many people as much people as possible, as many persons as possible, and not leave people from smaller cities behind. The same goes for dependents. The current reverse mortgage law allows for people older than 65 and dependent to hire them. And even if there were 19 institutions that offered this product, they never offered it directly to dependents. And we want to change that. We want to offer it to dependent people. We also wanted to make an effort in terms of accessing these products online. Historically, there's been a digital gap between people older than 65 and younger people who have access to the web or to tech products, but fortunately, these gaps have been reduced and technology has become much more accessible. And so we've decided to ride that wave, and we want that people who want the product can go online, find information very clearly, very transparently, and very user-friendly. And we need to make use of AI, as this will boost performance in all fintech companies. Lastly, with regard to the key areas, I don't know if you know that after 65 years old, there's 30% more women than men. And on top of this, these women, in many cases, are widows. The average widow's pension is lower. So we want to finance that gap between men and women who are retired and receive different pensions. And we can achieve that through these products that supplement their income and balance their income. Lastly, I would like to say that this is a global challenge. The problem or lack thereof, or the benefit of having more time to live, is something that affects all society, not only in Europe or the US. This is a global fact. And once the product is consolidated in Spain, the first step, the most natural step is to go to Latin America. And there are countries that have this product already available. They have the legal framework to offer this product, such as Mexico, Peru, and Colombia. And in Colombia, we already created a company to offer this product to the Colombian society, where we also participate with the Ministry of Housing. We collaborated with him and showed him how this is working in Spain, and provided some advice on how to promote this product in a safe way. And lastly, this is indeed the last slide, I would like to finish with this phrase, because we usually have the idea that as we age, things get worse, our health, our income, our financial situation, everything falls down, everything worsens. But people have concentrated a great wealth in their properties, and so we need to find ways to access this wealth and improve the quality of life of people so that they can do whatever they want, so that they can enjoy a number of services that are designed for them. And that's why we say that life can improve with age. That's all on my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roberto. I have things to do, to ask Luis for the silver money card, and then ask you for more information of this reverse mortgage. So many things to do. We have 4 presentations to go, talking about disruption in this open innovation ecosystem in Spain, and more specifically in Madrid. I'll tell you later on where this expression comes from that Blanca referred to. The city is taken. The other part of the equation is run, the Turks are coming. But leaving that aside, let's now listen to Manuel Zaera, who I do very much appreciate. He is very innovative, apart from his position in National Nederlanden. He has been able to foster a culture of innovation through Spar Lab. That's a new tool, a new lab. He has this concept of the new wiki era, or wiki mode in banking and insurance. Is it in wiki mode? That's the question. So over to you, wiki banking. Thank you, Salvador, and thank you also to Madrid Platform for the invite. I was a bit awed when you compared the situation to this movie of the 300 and talking about the arrows that were shot. And then, fortunately, you came around to talk again about collaboration. That is, in my view, key to progress and social evolution in general. Access to internet is fundamental and has changed profoundly the consumer habits. And in general terms, it has given rise to a new consumer, the digital consumer that has become active when gearing to certain purchase decisions. And through this active participation, the consumer has become much more demanding. When I say consumer, I'm talking about us. We are so much more demanding. Demanding also vis-a-vis the companies, not only relating to your experience, the product, and the sources of the materials, but also regarding the roles that companies play in social construction and impact. We do want to see a positive impact, and we demand companies to act accordingly. We have social movements that oftentimes call the traditional way of doing things into question, and the companies need to react. Salvador gave us a very good intro some years ago. We, in my company, decided to start working in this direction with Sparklab. It's a corporate venture building, one of the initiatives that you showed in the statistics, but it's not so much about the format. It's much more about creating a unity. We wanted to isolate that a bit from the rest of the company. The company deals with risks as an insurance company, has policies to mitigate, avoid risks, many things that don't allow for innovation. And therefore, we have kind of encapsulated this area that gives us this bigger leeway to drive for innovation. We have attracted experts in innovation, not so much in the field of finance, but who knew about the needs of the customers and helped us target new services, new ways of doing things. And we have replicated this initiative in 6 other countries. We are a hub in national Netherlands because we are very close to what we're driving at. So we have the traditional business. We don't forget it. But we, in ourselves, are self-contained vis-à-vis this other innovation horizon. This certain distance allows us some breathing space to evolve and try things out. For example, prepaid car insurance tryouts in Japan, for example, models for SMEs, socially speaking, very important for the firstborn to inherit these small and medium enterprises in Japan, and so forth. So we've pivoted sometimes to new concepts, and in other cases, we are scaling something up that already was in existence. So we follow the dream team in innovation, the minimum viable team concept. So we recruited the seed human capital, the hipster, the hacker, and the hustler. The hipster is called Luis. That's the one that deals with the details, with the customer experience, with the beauty of the solution, user experience. Then we have the hacker. That's the technical profile that knows the ins and outs, the innards of developments, programming language. And then the hustler, the closest thing to the CEO of the initiative, who knows how to think in terms of projection and viability of the business adventure. So that was the start. And these are different people, but they need to be joined in a common vision and need to be able to understand what the client needs and wants and provide a solution. And at the same time, they need to call their own proposals into question at all times. They need to doubt what they do. You need to create something tangible, start prototyping at a very early stage. They are, I would say, a prototyping machine, and confront potential users with these prototypes to be able to then adapt them according to the feedback. So they are doers, people that build something, and they share a vision. Now, I would like to share with you 3 tools, 3 elements that we use when developing our solutions. Firstly, the human-centered development based on the following. Human-centered, that is, centered on persons, starting with real problems of real people who we have interviewed and we bring into the working sessions we have, and from where on we develop the prototype. So also problem-centered. In the Innovation Lab, we deal much more time with identifying the problems than with developing the solutions. First, we need to determine what's what. Then systemic development. Thirdly, many entrepreneurs surely know what I'm talking about. A solution does not only entail a change in itself, it's going to impact many others, other players, also the end consumers, also in administrative terms. So the users that use an app are our target audience, but we go beyond and have a much larger scope. And then the testing. Testing is paramount. Second tool, divergence and convergence model, this double diamond of innovation. The first diamond deals with identifying all our problems. And that is while we talk about being empathic. And then we look for a solution. Then we go to a certain distance to gain more perspective and to be able to realize where we can develop this solution. And then again, we zoom in order to target a given market with a reasonably validated model that we can start trying out under real conditions on a real market. Now, and this is in reality how this diamond of ours translates often in our daily lives, as you surely also know from experience. Now, another tool, and this was what I was driving at when talking about this wiki era, the platforms and the definitions of ecosystems. For example, interconnected service networks that satisfy the journey needs of our customers through technological platforms where you easily can add services, but that can take many different forms. When we talk about ecosystems, as we've seen, for example, Amazon or Alphabet, big corporations that have everything, and also in China, these super apps are another example, but that's not the only solution. You can also have this ecosystem, for example, the holidays ecosystem. You have aggregators, you have reservation operations, tour operators, transportation companies that do coexist, but beyond that, they do also cooperate, offering value-added solutions. And I really do think that this is it, that herein lies the future for our industry. So that's why this talk about arrows had me a bit concerned at the beginning, but I think I've understood the comparison. Now, we have our innovation system with various players, training institutions, educational institutions, play-ups, startups, sometimes from the financial world, in other cases from other fields, but they add up to more than what they can contribute each on its own. At the end of the day, we want to create more ecosystems for the better of our industry. Thank you. Thank you, Manuel. You've taught us how to change the entrepreneurial, innovative culture with SpartLab. Since we're talking about 300 Spartans and SpartLab, they go very well together, really, very fitting. But now, how do we use tools and how do we use technologies in order to innovate and disrupt and shake things a bit up? Esteban Granero will be speaking now. He's CEO in the company Olosip, and he will be talking about the recourse to artificial intelligence in order to transform, innovate, and boost and change things. Please. Good afternoon. Good evening. Apparently the slide is stuck. Well, then let's get started. My name is Esteban Granero. I'm a professional football player, but I'm also CEO of this company. I set up 5 years ago with two professors of the Polytechnical University in Madrid dealing with artificial intelligence. Maybe you know the story attributed to a university professor, Albert Einstein, when he asked a student about the exam. The student said, well, the exam was excellent. There were the same questions as last year's exam. But the answer was that Albert Einstein said, yes, but the answers have changed. So that means that we need to change our answer, that is to generate new solutions, new proposals, to be able to generate knowledge with these three superpowers: speed, memory, and objectivity, something that we will not be able to attain. We've been able to dope with these superpowers this scientific method that has been our survival tool as human beings, this capability to observe, and from this observation on be able to compare with how things go and validate our hypotheses. This is how we humans have fared along history, and with AI we are able to ramp this up, to accelerate. If we look up to the sky, it has taken us centuries to understand what we see there. We used to classify and describe what we called astrology, and it has taken us a long time to realize what really has an influx, an impact. But thanks to that, we've been able to control the time, to be able to know what happens 300,000 years ago, or to be able to predict or to know that in 2047 there'll be a solar eclipse, for example. So we have been able to understand the source of biodiversity. So first we understand it in descriptive terms, taxonomy, the capacity to ranking and describing the species, and then to be able to understand the genetic mechanisms, and from there on reverse engineer that we come from the great apes, and how many probabilities a woman has to have breast cancer, for example. So today, thanks to the artificial intelligence, we have this capability of accelerating, boosting knowledge. Anything that has to do with data compilation can be boosted almost immediately. So we don't just describe and classify information that we collect in our company, for example, in our bank. We now can generate new knowledge, new circumstances that will allow us to do as we did with the genetics or with astrology, to adapt to the circumstances.
And make decisions in a less uncertain context. That's what AI can do. The financial sector is a good data collector, but exploits them deficiently, in a deficient way. Big data within the financial sector, due to its own nature, easily achievable, or most companies have access to this information, but big data, if we had to define it somehow, we would say that it's nothing but a lot of data. Whatever we do with that big data is what will give us a competitive edge, and that's where AI comes in. And with its predictive models that reduce uncertainty and generate knowledge. Since the financial sector looks at my sector, the soccer sector, a little bit over the shoulder, in particular with the soccer, if we can predict soccer, that is so random. There's nothing as random as 22 players in a wet field with a ball and the randomness that this brings together. If we can predict the performance of football players in different contexts, why can't we do that in the financial sector, provided that in the football world there's so much uncertainty? And in particular, now that there are a number of solutions that are more or less integrated, but we are working to reduce uncertainty in fraud prevention, in credit risks, analysis, trading. That is, we are going to use all this knowledge through data to reduce that uncertainty that I was talking about. As with everything in life, there are also haters in the AI world. In the soccer world, that's a common thing, in the football world. And the financial sector is no exception. But the main reluctance that people express is that, well, there are some scenarios where not even with data we can predict a result. It's true that to assess the performance of a player, we cannot anticipate that this player will have a family issue the following year and his circumstances will change, and the prediction, of course, will change accordingly. And in the financial markets, it's a little bit the same situation. Those who oppose to it say there are circumstances that influence the markets that are beyond our control, and they're right to say so. But we need to understand that it's not just about predicting 100% or not predict anything. This is about making decisions. And when one makes decisions that have such an important impact, like, for example, in the financial world, if we're able to reduce that uncertainty smartly, and I say to reduce that when taking our decisions, and when I say our decisions, I say it's because the collaboration between the human and machine is very valuable. If we manage to reduce uncertainty, our decisions will be more accurate. And to give you an example, and to finish my presentation, if we had to guess who is in the image of the blue photograph, I think no one could guess, unless my partner here who knows the result of this. But if we could reduce uncertainty progressively, for example, like this, well, now we have a little bit more information. We've reduced uncertainty, but not in an efficient way, because this is not good for guessing who the person in the picture is. Perhaps a fan would know who this is, but we can reduce uncertainty through AI more efficiently. For example, like this. here. I think no one can say that there's no uncertainty. There's more uncertain, meaning in blue, than the image itself. But we've discovered a part of the image that even in situations of great uncertainty help us to make a decision with a certain degree of credibility, especially if we have to respond before someone. I think this is quite recognizable, and we've managed to discover who the person is. And even if we don't have the whole picture, we know who's behind it. So reducing uncertainty is not about having fortune ball and trying to, but to provide tips and keys to help people make decisions. So that's what we do at our company. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Esteban. We've decided to organize this on Monday so that you don't have to play and you can be here with us. So we really thank you for your effort. I think you're coming from Seville. You just took the train and you arrived by train. So thank you for being here and sharing with us. I was kind of scared when I read this dope in the fintech world, but now that you've illustrated it with that picture, it's much more clear, and it's part of the doping that we need to introduce as an innovation criterion in the reality that we live in to somehow create chaos. And I think that AI tools help create this new world, this new disruptive world. I think we have Juan Antonio Costa, who is the country manager for Spain and Iberia for Duck and Creek Technologies, who will talk about and moving on with these insurance schemes, with new standards that are being offered in the insurtech world, and from the world of technology and disruption, his ideas. So the floor is yours, Juan Antonio. I think we have a problem with the sound. I can hear you perfectly. Yes, we now have the signal. Can you hear me now? Yes. Right? Yes, go ahead, please. So standards in the insurance world. I understand that you're listening to me. Thank you, Salvador. Thank you, Madrid Fintech and InsurTech in this case. And I wanted to talk to you about what the new standards in general insurance are all about. And we're trying to redefine them at our company. So I would like to give you an overview. We're a company specialized in providing technology, the core technology solutions for the insurance world. We've been working for 20 years in this area, 10 years of which we've been working on something that is now very hot. That is a very hot topic. How to implement these platforms in SaaS mode. We're very proud to be a company that is mature, that after 20 years of history, and a few months ago, we were listed in the Nasdaq index. And it's not because we say so, but the industry and Gartner and Talent say, or recognize the effort and the value that we provide thanks to the solutions that we offer. When we talk about standards, so I would like to clarify, we do not intend to define rules or challenges or the new risks that we may expect in the insurance world. What we're trying to do is just placing value on initiatives that are working already. We support these initiatives, but we do want to talk about if we want to talk about an actual standard, we need to gain fans and share the success of some of other companies. We've defined standard based on 3 pillars. We think that within the insurance ecosystem, being successful in these times means reinventing the business. In this reinvention, we now have a series of existing clients who have new needs, we have new channels, new segments, and we will have different types of clients that are unknown to us. Digital natives because they are part of another generation or for any other reason. Another factor that we deem relevant and that is a fundamental pillar is transform yourself while changing. Up until recently, it seemed like innovation in insurance companies followed a timeline and had some that were excessively long, but the rules of the game have changed. Innovation now follows a permanent process. Change is permanent and there are no stops. So we need to be able, as insurance companies, to provide these changes and innovations while we still offer these products. That's what we call transform yourselves as you change. And the third pillar talks about innovating in customer experience. If we paraphrase over Simon Sinek, that said, clients will not buy the product that responds to the what, but they buy the product that responds to the why. So why we have created those products. And in the end, this is key for us to explain. We need to be able to generate customer experience that in the world of insurance is far from collective ways of approaching the client. They need to be personalized. If I have, my home insurance, car insurance, or any other type of insurance, that product or that combination of products doesn't need to be similar to my neighbor's choice. So at our company, with these pillars, we provide a series of physical benefits, tangible benefits. If we want to assign those benefits to the pillars in the reinvention of companies, we accelerate the time to market any product to be launched, including design, production, the beginning of production. We help reduce those times, those startup times, with TCO that is different from the one that currently exists, that includes maintenance, for instance, and that provides certainty, allows companies knowing if they're going to grow organically or inorganically, because there's a market of it's a market for opportunity market, because it is still being offered to portfolios or companies, and we are able to anticipate even the technological cost of that operation. In the pillar that is called transform while you act is migrate some models that were based on software development and therefore that relied heavily on IT teams, that sometimes were a bottleneck. But we refer to configuration models, where a business user can
básicamente en producción pues aquel producto
start
que desea
producing
poner en
the
el nuevo servicio
product
que
of
desea
their,
lanzar en el
or the
mercado,
service
¿no?
of
Y todo
their
eso con un
choice that they
modelo
want to launch,
de actualizaciones
with
continuo, es decir, muy en
a
línea con, como os
continuous
decía, con este
update
pilar de
model, very
transfórmate
much in
mientras
line with
creas.
this transform while you
Nosotros no
can,
tenemos un modelo de
as you
grandes
act.
releases
We don't
que se
have a
produzcan cada
release
6
model
meses o
that
cada
is
un año,
produced
cada 2
every
años, sino
year
que
or every
estamos en
6
un modelo de
months. No,
actualización
we
continua
are
que
in a
ponemos a
permanent
disposición de
update
nuestros
model that we
clientes
put at the
y lo
disposal
que
of
es más
our
importante,
clients,
sin que eso
and what is
requiera
more,
pues
without
discontinuidades de negocio o paradas
discontinuing
de
the
negocio,
service
con lo cual pues el cliente sigue
or
funcionando de
stopovers,
una
so the
manera
client continues
natural, ¿no?
to operate
Y por último, y para
as
terminar,
usual.
decir
And
que la
lastly,
experiencia cliente lo que nosotros
with regard to customer
proveemos
experience, what we
fundamentalmente es
provide
poner a
fundamentally
disposición de
is
las compañías aseguradoras todo ese enorme ecosistema insurtech que hay
this
ahora.
huge
Pensad que en el sector
insurtech
seguros
ecosystem
prácticamente
that
hemos
exists
pasado
right
de
now.
todo se
We've
hacía en lo
gone
interno,
from
pues a excepción
working
de
internally,
los peritos, las
everything was done
valoraciones
internally except for
de los controles y
appraisers
pocas tareas
and the
más,
work
¿no?
by
O
controllers,
la
or
externalización del
the
soporte
outsourcing
informático.
of
Ahora tener
IT
pues un
systems,
abanico
to now
enorme
having
de
a wide
compañías que
range of
proveen un valor
companies that provide
infinito, ¿no?
infinite value
Pues en la detección
in
predictiva de
the
siniestros, en la
identification and
predicción
prevention
de
of
modelos
accidents,
de comportamiento
prediction of
o de adaptación de riesgos
behavioral
para un
models
usuario
or
a
risk
otro,
adaptations
que
for
en cualquier cosa que
specific
se nos
uses.
ocurra y que ya no tiene
For
sentido
anything we think
internalizarlo,
about,
lo que tiene
there's
sentido
no
es crear
reason
el
in
ecosistema y crear la
internalizing
plataforma
that anymore,
tecnológica que
but
obviamente pues
in
permita una
creating the
interacción
ecosystem that
fácil,
allows easy interaction
amigable y dinámica,
and a
¿no?
friendly
Y desde
interaction.
Creek pues somos en este
And
sentido un
at Duck
facilitador
Creek, we
para conseguir
facilitate
este tipo de cosas, ¿no?
these objectives.
Y dicho esto,
Having
pues
said
Salvador,
this, Salvador,
espero sobre
I
todo
think
haberme ajustado
that
al
I've
timing
respected
establecido
the time
y a
limit,
vuestra disposición
and
para
I remain at
cualquier
your
pregunta
disposal
o
for any
cuestión que
question
pueda
that you
surgir.
may have. Well, thank you very much, Juan Antonio. We've learned a lot from your insurance models and also from the way in which insurtechs work from that perspective. We will now listen to the next speaker, with whom we will close these 8 presentations that these rockets that we launched into space. We will now listen to Maria Zarco. She's the operations director of Universe, and she says that this is the only fintech that travels with you. Having said this, she will have to explain herself. So the floor is yours, Maria. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. Before I start my presentation, thank you to Madrid Fintech, to Madrid Platform, and to the Madrid City Hall for allowing us to give this presentation. I would like to congratulate all the speakers because your projects are plain spectacular, and it's been a delight to listen to all of you. I will now reveal very shortly why Universe is a fintech that travels with you. But I would like to give you a hint before. The truth is, I would really like to jump into that pool. Can I start now? Can I start the presentation? Is it here? Yeah. Oh. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're all set now. This is the only fintech that gives you time and money. And I will explain to you why. Back in 2017, Antonio Cantalapiedra, who's an expert in the mobility sector, and Abel Navajas, who is a specialist in tax-free, in marketing and new business models, decided to come together, and they thought that the tax-free sector, which is a first vertical where Universe was developing, needed to change. And we needed to use technology, proprietary technology, to produce this innovation, generate this innovation. We had an interdisciplinary team, a multicultural team, and that's our great asset. And thanks to them, we are now able to create this developments. We started to create tax-free in the last quarter of 2019, and as you all know, something happened, something that brought us all to a halt, something that we expect to end soon. If you don't know what the term tax-free means, that is the tax returns to non-residents, non-EU residents, or residents in countries that are not adhered to the EU tax or customs system. So what happened? We identified that the tax-free model was still based in the model from the 60s. It had great challenges. It was based on paper, and we tackled this through another vertical that is not so fintech, but it's more legal tech. But you will soon learn why we consider ourselves fintech. We saw that there were great queues in shops, in airports, and the tax return system was not integrated into the e-commerce. It was something not used in this sector. As a result, only 30% of travelers requested tax returns. And this return is paid by the Spanish state, managed by the tax office, and is an incentive of some sort for generating more sales or boosting more sales in all shops. Of course, since it was not integrated with e-commerce, all the platforms to operate were not part of this system. So we decided to start working. Now the forms, you can receive them on your phone. Everything happens on your mobile device, the mobile device of the traveler, and a small fraction of the process happens in the store, but we reduce queues significantly. We also remove the uncertainty from this tax return because some of them were going to be paid, but others not. We guarantee that this will be paid, and that's why we consider ourselves fintech. And we are also the first operator that provides services to e-commerce. Therefore, we've revolutionized the world of tax returns through immediate payments that are also digital and safe, through a company that is strongly committed to the SDGs, and we've also done something new. Why? We've done that. We've done this to make these incentives for everyone and forever. I will now explain how the tax-free process works in the traditional way and in the 100% mobile way, which is Universe model. As I was saying, the traditional model, you need to fill out forms, long forms, make long queues, or in the exit points from the EU. There was uncertainty regarding the reimbursement or refund, but with our app, you can download them on Google Play or in Huawei or the iOS. You upload your invoice, your ticket, your purchase tickets. You can upload your documents as well. We do some validation procedures and face recognition procedures, as one would do at a first-level banking institutions, because we need a KYC, the Know Your Client model. We scan a QR, and this QR code, we have it in our app, or you can send it to your wallet on iOS, and after that you receive your refund in 2 steps. So from a 90-minute procedure, we reduce it to 10 minutes. So it gives you time. As I was saying, this is a fully digital experience. We work in 3 areas, and we work on the maximum happiness moment. The shopper or the buyer is happy, and the seller is also happy, and so we cannot afford to fail. On the B2B area, that this is the retailer sector. We streamline all the processes at the store. When we avoid these queues, we provide a better image to the store, and this allows for more space in order to showcase merchandise. In the B2C model, this to us is the traveler. I'm sorry about all the acronyms, but we've developed payment systems so that travelers always collect digitally, but also in a traceable way. We want to let them choose how they want to pay, how they want to collect. And the Universe model is an additional, a supplementary model. It does not exclude the traditional model. We want to give people the choice of whatever they want to do. We can make payments through PayPal, WeChat Pay, UnionPay, MasterCard, Visa. We're now developing our software to be the first fintech that wants to make transactions with cryptocurrency, and we've developed our own payment method, which is a virtual Visa, which is Universe Pay. And through Universe Pay, I will talk to you a little bit more about what we're currently developing for marketing incentives for everyone, not just for the traveler who comes to Spain. Likewise, the app and the UX is developed, taking into consideration the nationality, the language, the culture. We provide WhatsApp, WeChat support. We also have a chat box for general issues as well. And we also integrate in our Universe Pay so that it can be used on Apple Pay, and it's already included in Google Pay. And I don't want to forget governments. That's B2G, business to government. Our system is 100% safe and secure. This means that when we use technology to bypass a number of filters, for example, biometric recognition or reading documents through OCR, geolocation of the traveler when leaving the EU. So all of these measures add more barriers to fraud, especially because we cannot forget that this is money that is being returned, this VAT returned to these travelers. And what we also do is that we collect data that, as you know, we will use in the future, as some of you said, through big data mechanisms, but of course, in accordance with the GDPR law. This is the tax-free area, but we sat down and we said, why should travelers alone receive an incentive? If we know that paying is not easy, it's easier to collect, particularly in the fintech world. Why not do something different, which is offering different incentives? Incentives such as regional communities, association of salespersons, where we can use previous experience to become the vehicle through which all these incentives become real. Through what? Through this Visa digital card. Visa is our partner, which is Universe Pay. So we use technology, we process tax refunds or incentives automatically through our own payment system, and we can also create segmented data. Once we've given this incentive, we can process this data, of course, in accordance with the GDPR, but there are many data that can help us increase sales and consumption patterns. So what is Universe's recipe for success? Well, on the one hand, we are expanding internationally, and this is why we are connected with other cashback systems. And I would like to tell you that, for example, we already have a company created in France, UK, in Portugal, Italy, and in Belgium. They operate in Spain. We also want to expand towards other cashback models that could be offered, and models that could also generate these incentives and allow for the economic recovery of an area. Basically, yes, and boosting other models using AI. So if you're available to join the revolution, we'll be happy to have you with us, to join us in Universe's revolution. Thank you very much. Don't go away. There is a question that is a common question that has been raised in some of the chats, and this question has to do with the fact that whenever we talk to the fintech world, the crypto issue appears. And I think this is the first slide where the word cryptocurrency appears. Is there collaboration, use of cryptocurrency? Isn't cryptocurrency kryptonite? Does it destroy something or anything? Does it destroy anything? Well, cryptocurrency, in our view, is another means of payment. Instead of euro, it's another type of currency. Well, it's true that it is much more complex whenever you want to create your cryptocurrency. When you delve into this type of technology, it may be more complicated. It's true that cryptocurrencies have the characteristic that they aren't as regulated as, for example, card payment. But the truth is that it is increasingly popular, and in fact, large companies are creating their own cryptocurrency. On Expansión, we could read an article on that, and they decided to create their own cryptocurrency. Yes, something with a British last name. Well, in the end, it's all a matter of trusting and of confidence. Before technology, this was unthinkable, but now transactions take seconds. So cryptocurrencies is something you need to know deeply. You need to know what you're buying and selling, because they fluctuate very quickly, not from the point of view of this exchange, but from the point of view of value. So you need to devote a lot of resources and know what you're doing, not just play with cryptocurrencies, because this entails risks, and that we should be willing to take some risks. And it's one thing to invest in crypto, and different, but operating with cryptocurrencies is different. It acts as another currency, and therefore it's the company that works on the transaction, the one that bears the risks, both for commercial establishments, as for e-commerces or for fintechs. Of course, there's always someone who buys to start playing, but once you have your own account in dollars, or, well, no, you have a multi-currency account. First, you make an investment that could be of higher or lesser value. And in the case of currency, you have this exchange insurance that provides some coverage. But with cryptocurrencies, that is not the case. That is much more complicated. It's not fully regulated. But it is true that there are more companies every day, companies that collect cryptocurrencies and can be used in wallet with your different means of payment. So very soon we will be able to pay in some shops with cryptocurrencies. So thank you very much, Maria, and thank you for answering this question, this unexpected question. But I wanted to take the opportunity to ask you about that before closing the meeting. And since you had the mic on, it was your turn. I'm sorry that I just asked you point blank. But before we finish, because we don't have time for much more, I just want to leave you with a couple of messages. The first one is Madrid Fintech Capital. We've created an innovation system for open and collaborative finance. You've now heard some of the projects that are part of the key players within the ecosystem. I was saying, Blanca was saying before about the historic event of Constantine. They were talking about the cities taken, everyone went running to secure their houses under ships and left the city alone. But this doesn't happen at Madrid Fintech. Our paradigm is different. When we detect an invader, someone shouts, and people go to the Plaza del Sol Square and we bring the invaders down. That is the recreation of one of our star painters, Goya, made on the May the 2nd painting against Napoleon troops. That is the goal of Madrid Fintech, fighting those enemies, undertaking the challenges. How can we undertake this risks? By working together, by engaging in actions, and that is why at our cluster we developed these commissions in open collaboration in a paradigm that is that the association is a multi-sectoral association that helps in a way enrich the solutions to difficult challenges by using different technologies such as AI or through other paradigms that come from other sectors, as the Tantum team mentioned, looking beyond our borders in the Asian world, or through different visions that are generated through studies and the work that Blanca shared with us about the impact of women in the economic world, in the finance and fintech world. So within that collaboration ecosystem is where we want to open our hand to all the stakeholders, both from the public and private sector, to collaborate and to generate new knowledge, because we want to go further, we want to reach further. And I would like to thank the Madrid City Hall, Madrid Platform for creating this meeting point for networking and this hub for open innovation. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Well, thank you all, and thank you, Salvador, and the rest of participants for these success cases, for telling us how the world of fintech is doing right now. And thank you all for being here throughout the day. We now close the first session of Madrid Platform. We still have 2 days ahead that will be as exciting as this one, and that are showing us the opportunities for growth, both in Europe and in Latin America. And with this innovative, growing spirit and growth spirit, I'll see you tomorrow at Madrid Platform. Thank you very much.